It's the In Route, where friends of the show get a special segment with us. Want to be part of the action? Want to be the newest member of the In Crowd? Well, you know what to do. Hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com, or slide in our DMs on IG at FadeRoutePodcast, or drop us a line on X at FadeRouteDNZ, and you could be next. Part 2 of our interview with George Chacko starts right now. If you missed part 1, check out this week's long-form episode of the Fade Route with DNZ.
Well, I mean, they got as far as they could go. You know, they definitely need to improve, and you know, that's the perfect transition to the Mets, right? They got as far as they could go last year, very similar in the way the Knicks, and now, you know, they have to get to the next level. Now, they started their series with the Braves, and it's not going as we would hope. They got swept by the Rays. They have Phillies Braves coming up.
Mm-hmm.
What is there something you would like to see, or is there something you want the Mets to get out of this series, or is it just like survive and wait for Minaya and Montas to get here?
Yeah, and that's not going too well, by the way. Minaya and Montas, they're getting lit up in the minor leagues. When this month started, we split with the Dodgers, we swept the Rockies, and we swept the Nats. Those 6 games, we had to sweep and nothing less. I was talking to one of my coworkers who's also a huge Met fan, and I said, next 10 games, we have Braves, Phillies. This feels like a trap. This feels like one of those things. So many injuries are piling up right as the Braves come into town. The Braves have lined up their best pitching staff to face the Mets. Like it's too. The Mets pitching staff is all of a sudden, you know, not finding the strike zone, and there's all these things. And I was like, this is that pre-All-Star slump that the Mets have hit. And, you know, before the season started, I was like, we need to walk out of there 8-2. And we need to sweep the Phillies out of that, right? Then you put a huge gap between the rest of the division. Now I'm like, damn, just get out of there 500 somehow in this. You know what I mean? Go 5-5 and I'll be happy. So it's a stark drop. And I feel like that's this story with Met fans in general, because it's been tough.
In the recent history, in the last couple weeks or so, I mean, Canning is regressing back. McGill is now on the IL. They had to put Blackburn in the rotation. They were fielding trade calls on Blackburn, and now all of a sudden you need him. So, you know, their depth is certainly being tested. Alvarez is not looking like a major league catcher right now. Like, there are calls for Luis Torrens to take the job. Like, Beatty has not been great. He's had his flashes. Mauricio has had his flashes, but you know, it's still like they're missing a bunch of guys, right? They're missing Winker. Yeah. They're missing Siri. You have a bunch of talent waiting to be infused back into this team. But this 10 games, it's a game changer, right? Because, I mean,
this is a rough stretch.
It is an absolute rough stretch. But we are, believe it or not, like, we are very close to the midway point of the season. With that comes the trade deadline. So as teams start to kind of level with themselves and decide whether or not they're going to be buyers and sellers, what moves would you like to see the Mets make at the trade deadline?
Oh, what moves would I like to see the Mets make? Okay, all right. First of all, I think first most important thing I want to see is Alvarez get sent down. I think he needs to get his head right. Yeah, sometimes it worked with Vientos. They sent him down because he was struggling last year. Was it last year? And they sent him down. Beatty has gone up and down and come back this year, and he's hit the ball well. I think Alvarez is trying too hard at this point. I think he's in his own head. I think he is down on himself. And I think he needs to just hit the reset button. I would be okay if Torrens pulls down the fort until the All-Star break, until Alvarez gets his head right. That's my personal opinion. Now, as far as the trade deadline, I think we desperately need relief pitching is my primary goal, and back-end starter would be my second, right? I think we desperately need... watching Garrett Reed go out there, watching Jose Buto at certain instances, it's like, oh my God, this is like, we could be up 6 runs and I'm like, this could go either way at this point, right? It's just, it's rough, man. And, you know, I was looking before, and there are some interesting names that could be had, like Bendar in Pittsburgh could be available, and he's cheap.
Zach Allen, Arizona.
Clevenger in Tampa, we saw him destroy us this past weekend. It could be very interesting to get those 1 or 2 of those pieces. All those are and Bendar, let's not forget, Bendar 2 years ago had a ridiculously insane year. He was unhittable, but he's having a down year, and he might be able to get him at a reasonable price. Starting pitching back end of the rotation, Pablo Lopez is the name in Minnesota that comes up. He's having a decent year. I'm going to throw this name out there, Anthony. If I think you're the Met fan in this group here.
Don't say Seth Lugo.
Like his name.
Seth Lugo.
No.
We're Puerto Rican.
That ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. Sandy Alcantara.
What's it going to take?
What's it going to take? I mean, right now it shouldn't take much. He is bad as they get, right? He's barely a major leaguer right now, feels like. You know, I would give up a couple of minor leaguers for him, right?
You're gonna have to give up Beatty.
Nah, that's
They're gonna want Beatty. No matter who you're dealing with, they're gonna want Beatty because he's been up and down, but he's a pro. Like he's a pro. He's just not a pro in the Mets. He can play. He can play for other teams.
I would probably be okay because Williams, Jet Williams is killing in minor leagues. We have so many young, good potential players. Plus, Acuna can play third. Mauricio's up and he's hitting. I mean, Mauricio Beatty, if you tell me, it's a wash to me. Really?
Okay.
I like Mauricio. I like Mauricio a lot. But if you get Alcantara, if a scenery change does right to him, that could be a game changer for the Mets. One other position, and this is probably because I'm a center fielder by trade, and watching a mix of Jose Siri and Tyrone Taylor and Jeff McNeil at center field. I know Luis Robert Jr. is available out there in White Sox land. That would be hell of a pickup.
I actually thought they were going to get him like last month. I'm surprised it hasn't happened.
I don't know what happened. It was all. I don't know what happened.
I'm sure the asking price is high
for 196 homers and 28 ribbies. For 190.
But that's their guy.
Yeah.
He's their guy.
That's
He's
fine.
Their guy.
That he can stay
He's
their
guy.
He can stay their guy.
Someone will pay it.
Somebody's dumb enough to pay that.
I
think he needs a scenery change. I am not emptying my minor league system for him. If I get him at a reasonable price, I think he would be a great fit on this team. But I think we need to focus on relief pitching, and we need to get a back-end starter. Maybe, what about, is Ryan Reynolds still there playing center field in Pittsburgh? That could be interesting.
Who is there?
Reynolds?
Just watching Tyrone Taylor.
No.
Don't get me wrong. He plays hard. He plays good defense.
No, they have Alexander Canario, who is cut loose by the Mets in spring training. I mean,
Orlando Cruz.
If you're looking at
O'Neill Cruz,
Ryan O'Hearn on Baltimore, he's available supposedly.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going Baltimore, I would see where I would kick the tires on Cedric Mullins. He's going to be a free agent. You probably can't. They could ask for Acuna. They could ask for the sun, the moon, and the stars, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the Mets are going to do it. But I definitely
wouldn't cost much. They wouldn't. I think Baltimore knows where they are right now. I don't think it would cost much because all their stars are up. So You know, they don't necessarily need your best, you know, your best farm hand, you know, especially a guy who's in a walk year.
No, they're going to ask for Brandon Sproat because they desperately need pitching.
Yeah, I'm not doing that deal though.
Yeah. They're going to ask for Sproat. They're going to ask for Tidwell. They're going to ask for anybody who has a pulse and an arm that can throw. Because they got Dean Kramer and Charlie Morton. Like that's
Charlie
what
Morton's awful. Awful.
They're never aging.
Awful.
Damn, I'm sure you are so glad Charlie Morton's not pitching for the Braves this year.
No, it's all good. Like, you know, I'm one of those guys that, you know, once we got the World Series, like, everybody was free to go. It's fine. Charlie can go. Freeman can go. You know, you guys served your time. You did what you had to do.
Anthony, one day we'll say this.
We're ready to move on. We're ready to move on.
One day we'll say this.
I was all good with Olsen plays every day. So I love that guy. Riley. I like the young guys. Fried, I was done with Fried. I'm happy for Fried. Fried's having a great year with the Yankees. That's cool. Yeah. We got what we needed from him. It's all good.
Fried will get hurt when it matters. It's okay.
You know, Z and I have talked about it a bunch on this show. You know, the thing is he's in the American League right now. These teams that he's been playing, they haven't seen him before. You notice when he plays teams like the Dodgers or when he plays teams like the Diamondbacks, they remember good old Fried. Yep. But when you play these American League teams, he does some good stuff. He's a good player.
He does.
And he's having a good year, but I don't see him having a 1.74 ERA next year. Like, you know, so, and he usually gets hurt.
I'm going to throw, because you said Fried, I'm going to throw another name because that rings a bell in my mind. Friedel in Cincinnati.
I think they still think they have a chance. They're still competing pretty hard though. That division's closer than people think. I think all those teams are separated by just a few games. I don't think anybody's really like 13 games out like the freaking Braves are. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the Reds, if they're in the towel
right now, so you might have you might be closer.
Yeah,
by the
the Reds are only 7 out. That division's really close. I think all those teams are going to be competing to the end. And the Brewers still got to get Woodruff back. I'm surprised at how well St. Louis is playing. You got to imagine Chicago's going to go out and get somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they're a big name market.
If you think about St. Louis real quick, they were in a fire sale, getting rid of Arenado again. Now they're all of a sudden
unbelievable.
Good.
And to be honest with you, that's the team I think that will fade down the stretch. Because they're playing better than what they are. You know, I think at the end of the day, the Reds will rise to the top, and I think the Cubs will stay up there too. I don't believe in Milwaukee. The Cubs have a lot of talent, mainly because of Armstrong. Armstrong's having an amazing year.
Milwaukee does have a good young team too, though. Their pitching is decent, and they got some hitters.
I think they showed their colors last year against the Mets and who they really are. So. They're pretenders.
Nothing about them like stands out. Absolutely not. Churio is pretty decent. William Contreras has his moments, but ultimately they're a collective of guys. They're
good enough to get beat.
Right. If that's the case, you want to buy low, Jose Quintana's on the Brewers. You can go bring him back.
Bring back Quintana.
I don't even know how that guy's.
I mean, he pitched really well.
He
pitched really well for us.
And then you're not asking him to be the ace. You slot him into like the 3 or 4. Like
his ERA is like 6 though.
But these are the guys we're talking about. Like you guys are talking about like Bednar. You're talking about Senzatella. If you want to like dumpster dive, go to Colorado. Like Marquez. Yeah. Senzatella.
Oh. If we're shopping in Pittsburgh, we go to Mitch Keller. He's got quality stuff. Mitch Keller, Bednar.
Oh, but he gets bombed sometimes.
I think we all need to put our hands on the speaker right now and say Paul Skeens is not getting traded. So stop that right now.
So I just want to let me correct myself. Quintana is actually having a good year. He's got a 3.35 ERA, and he's 4-2 with a 1.43 WHIP. So I stand corrected. He's actually having a very good season.
And they can go get Tyler McGill's brother. They can get him. They can get Tyler McGill's brother, and they can really make
Tyler McGill's on the DL or
he's on the IL right now. But Trevor McGill, he's one of the he's a pretty decent reliever. So if the Brewers fade, it's worth a shot. But this is who we're talking about right now. You're talking about like the Scorbinos. Like that's what we're dealing with right now.
But at the end of the day, if you go for a real top of the top ace pitcher, you're gonna have to give the farm system for that.
Or you're gonna have to eat money. Like people love to talk about Jake.
You're gonna have to eat money.
People love to talk about Jake. You're gonna have to take all that contract, and that's the only way Texas is gonna do it. Like I would love Jake to come back. That would be wonderful, but they have to eat a shit ton of money.
Oof.
Yeah, I mean, if Jake comes back and that's the difference, then that'd be a hell of a story, no?
Yeah, I'll take that.
You would get a standing ovation in Citi Field.
I will go buy a DeGrom jersey. I will absolutely do that. I have a
DeGrom T-shirt.
I will take my T-shirt back. I'll put it back into rotation. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. But Citi Field has been electric this year. I've been to 3 games already. Citi Field is electric this year.
Now, the Steve Cohen and the Mets, they've reinvigorated this organization. The Wilpon, the stink of the Wilpons, it's gone, man. It's absolutely gone. Yeah. This isn't the same organization. It really isn't. Yeah. But
and to that end, I'll tell you this: I just had this epiphany. I had this revelation. We're gonna get swept this series, but hear me out. Hear me out. We're going 7-3 in this road trip. We're gonna sweep the Phillies, and we're gonna take it 4 games from the Bravos. 7-3.
Wow!
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. I'll take that optimism. I would settle for 5-5, but hey, 7-3, okay.
7-3. Just don't go to FanDuel right after you hear this. Just
there you go. So we will get you out of here on this one, George. You recently attended InfoComm 25 down in Florida. So tell us about the show and what was something that you picked up from it?
Yeah, absolutely. InfoComm is, I think, probably the 3rd or 4th largest tech show in the U.S. This year was record-breaking attendance of just under 31,000 people. I think the number was 30,908 total attendees from around the world. You have anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 vendors that are there, and they release all their latest and greatest tech gadgets and all these kind of crazy things. I'm also the co-founder of a nonprofit organization called Next Level Learning, which we are basically mentoring and bringing in the youth and diversity into the tech industry. And we brought 3 young learners, because I'm not allowed to call them kids anymore. I was reprimanded for calling them kids, even though they're less than half my age. We brought 3 young learners to InfoComm this year, all expenses paid. And they had experience of a lifetime. So we're really excited to see that through their eyes and experience that. But one product, and they're not paying me to say this, but I saw this on the last day and I was on the show floor and it blew my mind. It was a tiny booth. Can't remember the name of the company right now, but it's wireless power charging. So not like your wireless charging of your iPhone where you put it on a device that's connected to a cable. No. This is like it's like a little wireless lap that sits on the ceiling, and then it talks wirelessly to the devices in the room to charge it. Wow. So really cool product. The name is WeCharge, WI Charge, I think it was called. It was pretty cool to see. It was like a little webcam that sat in the corner of the wall, and it picks up your device and it charges it wirelessly. Pretty cool.
So it's coming.
Wireless power is coming. Yeah, that was InfoComm in a nutshell. One of the largest tech shows in the United States of America.
That's impressive. It's always good to see, like, when you're on the razor's edge of new innovations and new developments. You kind of get in on the ground floor, kind of see what's going on. That's always exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it's in Vegas next year, so if you guys are interested, you should check it out for sure.
There you go.
I'll be there.
I think we should definitely broadcast live from InfoComm next year. Maybe get some equipment.
Live.
There you go.
Live on
there
the
won't
strip.
be a lack of equipment if that's what you mean.
Well, Pace Professor, Met Superfan George Chacko, thank you for joining us. And if you want to be on the In Route with us, if you want to be the newest member of the In Crowd, hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com, slide in our DMs on IG at Fade Route Podcast, drop us a line on X at FadeRouteDNZ, and let us know. You may end up as a guest on the In Route. George Chacko, thank you for joining us. Where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on LinkedIn, George Chacko -CTS. Or you can, I do have an Instagram account that I don't talk about, the BaldAVguy. So you can find me on these accounts. Feel free to reach out.
There you go. That's the info. Find George. Find him and talk about Infocom.
Infocom or the Met.
Infocom or the net. Leave the Knicks. Not the Knicks right now.
Leave the Knicks.
Not right now.
Yeah, give me a few months. Give me a few months before we can talk Knicks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you liked what you heard and you want to hear more, be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Leave us a review, rate us 5 stars, turn on subscription notifications, and share on social media. Tell your friends and spread the word.